So if you guys saw my earlier video where my buddy Jody, Simplified Transport, he had dead batteries in Joplin, Missouri, and my buddy Tony had a jump box, and we put it on there and it fired that Duramax right up. Blew my mind. Now I have been wanting the Noco GB155 jump box. I have been wanting it, but not willing to turn loose the money. It's over $300, and it doesn't come with a case. It doesn't come with a cigarette lighter outlet and all that stuff. But whenever I saw the Autogen do what it did on Jody diesel, because it was dead, it was just completely dead. It would barely even turn the lights on the dash. For the money, this one is less than $200, or what I gave for it at this time. And it just really impressed me whenever it did what it did, so I went ahead and ordered one. I could afford the price of this one. I still can't afford the Noco. If I had to pick between the two, I don't know. I've not had the opportunity to use the Noco, but I'm very impressed with what I've seen other people do with the GB155, not the 150, but the 155. But this one, the bang for the buck, if I do get the Noco at a later date, I'll do a comparison video, and I will actually use this in another vehicle. So this one has 4,500 amps. It has a 30, I want to say it was a 3,200 milliamp battery that you can use for a power bank. It's got two USB ports on it. It does have a cigarette lighter plug. It does come with its own carrying case. That's something I really like. I don't like buying a product and then having to buy the case and then having to buy the other accessories. I like for it all to come in one kit. And the carrying case it's functional. You put your jumper cable, the cable leads right here. The charging block, it did come with a charging cable, but in full disclosure, I've already taken it out and charged it, and apparently I forgot to put that back in the box. So here's the money, and I always put the little paper bag back around it just to make sure. I also have another one of these. It's not the Autogen, it's a Tac Life T8 Pro, and that one is 1,200 cranking amps. It will not start anything in my driveway. I mean, it would start the four-wheeler. Now my neighbor has a 4-cylinder Ford Escape, and it will fire it up if the battery's dead. But this truck, the Corvette, anything else I've tried it on, even with a weak battery, it makes a difference, but it's not enough to just spin it over, enough to get started. My personal opinion, if you're looking into buying a jump box, you don't have to buy this one, even though I'm very impressed by this one. We're finna check it out and see how it works. But make sure it's still charged up completely, and it is. I really like that it's got the battery illumination right there on the front. It does have the flashlight, so you push and hold the power button and the flashlight comes on. And it's got the SOS mode and a strobe mode. 12-volt power outlet right here on the front. The two USBs, and it charges with a micro USB right here. And this one says output 5 volts and 2 volts. So the one with the blue tip is a little bit stronger than the other one, if I'm reading that right. I may not be reading it right, but I think I am. So if you're looking at one of these, make sure and get one that's at least 2,000 amps output. Anything less than 2,000 amps is not going to be very versatile, in my opinion. This one being 4,500 amps, it should start anything I ever want to start, you know. And after seeing what it did on Simplified's truck, and knowing that my buddy Tony has jumped his Duramax off with it more than a couple of times, and I heard him start some piece of equipment with it one day over the phone, and it was just barely dragging over. And I can't remember, I want to say it was a trencher. But anyway, when he put it on, it was like putting new batteries on. But I'm not gonna get too awful technical into a lot of stuff it has, other than it being 4,500 amps, 32,000 milliamp battery. It does come with the cables. It comes with the box itself, the battery pack itself. It does come with a quick charge cable, which I've got to get put back in the box. The charging brick, user's manual, and a carry case. And all that for less than 200 bucks and it works, you know, I'm pretty well sold. Anyway, let's try it out and see if it works. So this is my dad's old 2004 Chevy Duramax 6.6. Now, this truck, he was in really, really good condition with 213,000 miles on it. He let someone borrow it. The way people take care of stuff when you let them borrow it, they rolled it over. So the bumper and the headache rack on the bed prevented a lot of damage, but it still crushed the top of the cab and cracked all the windows and all that stuff. Anyway, the truck had ran upside down. Now, I do not expect this truck to start. It hasn't been started in months and months and months. But if it spins it over for long enough that what we think a regular diesel should start, I'll be impressed. So I'm not gonna knock it if it doesn't start. It's not the jump box's fault. Now, the batteries are both unhooked. The grounds are off both batteries. And I was trying to decide, did I actually want to hook the batteries up because they're no good and try it? Or do I want to just hook it straight to the cables and see what happens? I think we're just going to hook it straight to the cables. So I don't have a camera person with me today, so I'm trying to do this all by myself, but I'm trying to keep it where you guys can see it's as realistic as possible. This ground wire right here is not attached to this battery. You can see the tops of the batteries are both wet. Everything under here is wet, where the coolant and everything came gushing up whenever, and oil and everything. But I have checked all the fluids. Like I said, I've started one time since it's been home, or since I got it to my place. So we're going to connect the positive to the rusty positive terminal here. We're going to connect the ground straight to the battery cable, right like so. Now, there's a boost button. Hopefully you guys can see this. There's a boost button right here. When you hit that button, the light turns green. It's ready to go. Now I'm gonna walk around and hit the key. The dash lights came on. I think that's pretty impressive to not even have batteries hooked up. I'm actually very impressed. And if I would have primed the fuel pump or the filter housing here, it possibly would have started right there. If it would have had one battery hooked up, it possibly would have started. Now, priming the fuel pump up. And I will say, that did kick the overload protection on. But it's turning the whole engine by itself. So, I'm happy with that. If it was a weak battery or even dead batteries, I don't think it would have done that. So, I'm going to unhook it, count to 10. Then we will connect it back, see if the protection light goes off. And it did. We push the button, the green light comes on, still showing a full charge. It's just the overload protection kicked it off, and I'm happy it's got that feature. Let's try it again with the fuel pump pumped up. What about that, guys? I'm just thoroughly impressed. Now, for whatever reason, it's not liking it because the headlights are flashing and all that stuff, but there it goes. Must have been taking a minute for the alternator to kick in. But go ahead and readjust you guys. But that's just on that jump box. That's no batteries. Next up, 1982 Chevrolet square body with the 350 that's been slightly built with a little bit of cam stuff to it. Once again, I've not been home. Truck hasn't been started in at least 6-7 months. Don't expect it to start. We're just gonna spin it over. Get this to get a good bite on that cable or not, but we'll try that right there. Go ahead and get it plugged in, and I'm gonna go see if I can find the keys. I do believe that they're in it. I do want to show the battery is not hooked up. This battery over here, because she was originally a diesel, it does have the battery, it does have the cable, but it's not hooked up. Keys in it. So we'll push the button. Buzzer came on the dash. Like I said, I'm just looking to hear if it'll spin. It's spinning pretty doggone good. So like I said, I don't even know if this truck's got fuel in it, but just knowing it's been setting as long as it's been setting, and it fired it over like that, 350 small block is not an issue for the Autogen 12 volt power portable jump starter. This carburetor, I think at one point in time, yeah, it was an electric choke, and it's junk. The carburetor is no good. It needs to be the first on the priority list of things it needs to get. But now that I've choked it, let's push the button again. Still same thing. I've not hooked up any battery. I just took the breather off and closed that. I'd really like to hear it run for a minute. It's been a long time. I actually patted the gas on it this time. Maybe that'll help with the choke. It may not have any gas in it. Anyway, I've got to get ready to go to work, so that's all I'm gonna be able to do with this for now. But that's 3 good, strong, solid starts. I mean, I'm impressed. One more. This is my 1994 Chevrolet Dealy 3500 with a 6.5 turbo diesel in it. Now, to the best of my understanding, from what I read and what I know about these trucks, the newer L5P Duramax and the other Duramax we started earlier doesn't have near the compression this one has. This has got a lot more compression. You see there's an optimal battery right here. It's junk. It doesn't. Only reason that battery is still here is because I'm saving it for a core. And I've had this truck longer than most people had their kids, but once again, it don't get no love but from nothing but the wrecks. So it does look like a janky mess on the wiring because I just let it go. One of these days, hopefully I'll be able to fix this thing back up and get it in a lot better shape, especially the wiring going to the battery. When I hooked up, you can see nothing's on the ground. Bring it over here and you can see all that mess right there. It is muddy and slick out here. This one is kind of aggravating because I'll have to get the clamp on, not only on the battery cable, but this is a wire going to the fuse box. Nothing happens if this wire is not hooked up. So normally if I'm gonna drive or move this truck, and it does run, it runs really good. Well, or it did months ago, the last time it was started. Normally if I'm gonna run it or drive it, I take my marine battery that I have in the back of my other truck for transporting RVs and put in it. And like I said, if this thing spins over at all, I'll be amazed. Even with 2 brand new batteries in it, this thing is hard to start. And if it had a full charge, I would think it was a possibility. With 2 bars, I don't even know. But as hard as it was starting the Duramax and the old school 350 Chevy, and the box is actually starting to get warm from all the playing around we've been doing with it. So plug it in and hit the boost button. And I have knowing, I don't see this one starting either. She's just really, really, really hard to start. The glow plugs take more out of this one than the cranking, I think, does. But let's just see if it's spinning over. that I'm blown away. I thought maybe with a full charge it would turn it over. I never would have thought it would have turned it over with 2 bars, no batteries. That's crazy to me. So 2000 model C5 Corvette, and a lot of people ask me why I keep it under this thing. It just keeps the sun off of it, and every one of these cars I've been around leak a little bit where the roof comes out, and it keeps some of the water off of it. It looks hideous, but that's where it stays. But every time I leave, I take the battery cables off of it. If I don't, it will kill the batteries. Now, I wished I could get you guys over here where you could see, but there's not a good way to do that. But I do have the ground off. The positive is hooked up. This goes to the stereo system, and I'm going to hook this right here, and I'm worried that I won't be able to get on the ground cable good enough to make a solid connection because of the way that it's off. But it's not connected to the battery. The light right here is not on. It should come on when I plug this in and push the button to fire it up. And so I heard all the everything kick on, but the light is apparently not working, so I need to look into that. So find the keys. That is pretty impressive for the battery not to be hooked up. So of course the belt squeaks. Everything I got squeaks because it just sits here all the time. Yeah, did it twice and then it kicked off. But it's not the overload. It's simply that it just kicked off. So, because I let the time run out. If you push the button for the green light and you don't hit the key pretty quick, it will time out. So anytime I buy anything, I want to do a field test or I want to try it out really good at home before I have to depend on it out wherever I'm going to wind up being. Now, the one that my buddy's got, I've seen him use it multiple places. That's why I went ahead and spent the money on this one. For multiple purposes, like when you get to, we all campers out of Indiana. When you get there and your battery is weak or dead, and you hook this up and turn the power onto it, and it will get the landing gear to work on the camper so you can go. I've seen him use his Autogen that way, and I've also seen Mr. Tennessee use the GB155 that way. If you'd like to check out the GB155, I'm gonna put a link to it and Mr. Tennessee's video in the description of this video. I'm also gonna put a link to this if you wanna check it out, and the GB155 if you wanna look them over. Those are the two that I recommend only because I don't have a lot of experience with them. I've been around this one and I've seen what the Noco GB155 can do, but I'm really wanting to try this one on an 18-wheeler. I've got buddies with trucks. That's a video that'll be coming up, I'm pretty sure. I'm gonna see if I can find one of them with an older truck that'll let me take the batteries loose and see if it will actually spin over one of the big trucks. I've not seen a video of one of these doing that. The GB155, the Noco GB155, I've seen it do it. But even if you order one, it's not this one or the Noco, try it out before you get in a bad situation and have to rely on it and depend on it. Make sure that it's gonna do good, because even though I know that my buddies work good, I wanna see this one work good, because the little Tac Life T8 Pro that I bought, it didn't work out of the box. I had to charge it multiple times before I even got it working, and it's never been that strong. My personal opinion, if you're gonna buy a jump box, make sure you get at least 2,000 amps, 2,000 peak starting amps. Anything less than that to me is just too weak, unless you literally just have a little 4-cylinder gas burner that's, the Corvette's the easiest starting vehicle I got, and it won't start it with a weak battery, much less a dead battery. The only vehicle I ever did see it start is my neighbor's Ford Escape with a 4-cylinder in it. And it's only 1,200 peak amps, but it's just not enough in my personal opinion. But guys, that's about it for this video. I got to get headed toward Indiana, but I did want to show you guys when I did my little test here at home to make sure it's going to be reliable for me. I've got to put it back on the charger. After all that starting the Corvette twice, starting the Duramax down there, spanning over one good time, and then spanning over again and firing it up, and multiple times firing over the old small block and the square body, it's still got 2 bars left on it. So it would have many more starts for the Corvette, and possibly this truck if the batteries were weak, the newer Duramax. Somebody probably gonna ask, why didn't I try taking the battery cables off this truck and starting it? These trucks are so picky about electronics. I don't even jump anybody off of this truck. That's why if I pull up and you have a dead battery and I want to help you out and jump you off, that's why this is important, because I'm not going to hook jumper cables to this truck. I've seen too many people do it, and the surge from when the other person starts the vehicle damages electronics. So anyway, links to this and the GB155s in the description. There's also going to be a link in the description for Mr. Tennessee's video on the GB155. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have another jump box that's really impressive for less than 200 bucks, especially if it comes with a carrying case and all the stuff that this one comes with, drop it in the description. I'd be interested to check it out, because who knows when I'll need another one, you know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'll see you in the next video.